Hey, what's going guys? I'm Mr. here. So we're actually going to do a collaboration deck profile and an English deck profile for the first and hopefully not the last time on this channel. So today we'll be doing Shiranui, and because we are doing the English format, thanks to Narmi here who will be presenting the deck, you will notice that we don't actually play the PRs, which a lot of people consider to be very essential to Shiranui. But today we're going to show you the profile of a player who actually tried to counter that in the sense that while it is not the greatest Shiranui that you will see out there, it is the best you can build out of purely just straight boxes. So you will not see any of the two PRs, Gengan or the, what's the name? Tobitachi. You will not see any of those here, but rather these are the substitutes and what he does to try and play around that. So it's not, like I said, it's not the most optimal. If you have the PRs, play them, but if not, I think this is definitely the safest list for you out there. Without further ado, I'll pass the time to Narmi.
So to start off, let me go through our main boss monsters, the grade 3s. So we play 4 Demon Stealth Dragon Shiranui Oboros. So Shiranui Oboro's skills are just split into 2. First is his continuous ability. During your turn, if you have 2 Shiranui cards in your soul, this unit gains plus 15,000 power, and your Mask of Domination can do drive checks. Now, this may seem a bit difficult to do because you need 2 Shiranuis in soul, but if you know the deck well enough, you know that it's not really that difficult to achieve. Then this is the Mask of Domination, and you may be wondering, how do you make one? Well, that's where the second ability comes in. The second ability is Act. Once per turn, you can counterblast 1 and discard 1 card. Choose a unit on either your opponent's rear guard or drop zone, and you bind it. And you create a Mask of Domination. The Mask of Domination gains all the abilities, grades, and power of the unit you copied. So this is going to be the main function of the deck, to get the Mask of Domination on field. So because of that, we want good targets to copy. Because usually you want to copy grade 3s or good cards with good abilities that's going to help you in the long run. So for that, I've built this deck, this entire deck around the function that we need good units to copy.
I should also add in that for the Mask of Domination, it is generally one of the more staple ways Shiranui does spot removal. So in the case that even if you don't get a good target to remove for the sake of pursuing your game plan, if the opponent generally has a piece that you seriously need to snipe now, then you can also use the Mask of Domination. You can also use it to stall potential combos. For example, Night Rose, who uses Skull Dragons quite a lot of the time, you can now use this to stall the number of Skull Dragons they will have in the drop zone by picking away 1 and removing it from the game.
Most of the time, we would want to copy grade 3 units because of the pure fact that they have Twin Drive. This allows us to go +1 compared to just a normal net plus minus 0. Because you have to discard 1 for the ability in the first place. Moving on. To support our main grade 3 Shiranui Oboro, we play 4 Stealth Dragon Shiranuis. Now, this card is really important in this deck. So, its first ability is Act. On Vanguard Circle, you may discard 1 card to search your deck for a Shiranui Oboro and ride it as 10. Now, this is a great thing because it fixes your ride, and not many decks can do that. And usually you would find yourself wanting to ride into this first, so that you can go into Shiranui Oboro easily to fulfill his soul condition of having 2 Shiranuis in soul. Now, his second ability further helps Shiranui Oboro to get Shiranui cards into the soul. So his second ability is, when he attacks, he gains 10k, and at the end of the battle, if your Vanguard is a Shiranui, you can move this unit into soul and bounce 1 of your opponent's units to hand and they discard 1. Furthermore, you're also able to draw 1. This basically gives you your Shiranui back. The card that you place down, you get it back from drawing from your deck, and you also are able to snipe 1 of your opponent's units. So this as well as minusing your opponent's cards, you also gain a plus. And this also helps in fueling more targets because your opponent has to discard a card into the drop zone. So sometimes they may discard a grade 3, which you can use next turn for Shiranui Oboro's ability. Now I'm going to move on to our grade field. So we play 4 of these 3 different grade 2s.
Now, before he continues, I know that Tengu is a PR. Generally at the start of the video I mentioned that this deck is made generally from out of the box. But the thing is that Tengu's been around for about a year-ish, am I right?
Yeah.
Tengu's been around for quite a long time, so it's generally quite easy to find, I would think. It's not a very hard to access PR. If you can't access Tengu, I would think just play literally the vanilla or just play
Mangatsu Gale.
Mangatsu Gale or Zangetsu, and it would suffice. But Tengu is here more as a tech option, so Narmi will explain why along with the rest of Genkai and Furai.
So, firstly, let me go through Stealth Dragon Furai. So, Furai is generally going to be your main right target, as funny as it may sound, for this deck. I know that it gives your opponent a cycle, but that's okay because we want more cards in their drop zone compared to what they have, and it also can help you mill their deck, which you'll see in our grade 1 lineup later. His first ability is when placed, your opponent discards 1 card and draws a card. If they discard a grade 0, you're also able to draw 1 card for yourself. His second ability is when he attacks on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, you're able to counterblast 1 to return one of your other Rearguards to hand, and you give any unit plus 6000 power. This is slightly different from Mangatsu Gale because Mangatsu Gale firstly costs an extra soul, which you refund from his own ability anyway, so it's technically still a counterblast. But the other thing is, he only gives plus 6k to himself. Furai, on the other hand, he gives 6k to any unit of your choosing, which may be more helpful, which may be more beneficial for you. Now, as you from most lists, you'd see most people don't play this many Stealth Dragon Genkai, but I think this card is actually very important for this deck. So later on, you'll see that most of our cards are going to be running a lot of Soul Blast abilities, which is why Stealth Dragon Genkai is very important. His second ability states, when he's placed on Rearguard Circle, you may choose 1 unit and give it boost. If you choose a unit other than himself, you can Soul Charge 1. This sometimes helps you randomly Soul Charge a Shiranui, but more importantly, it fuels your soul so that you can use the abilities for other cards. His first ability is also very important because the first ability is during your turn, if you have a token unit, the token units and this unit gains plus 5k each, which is going to be very important. Your token, Mask of Domination token, does not gain any power at all, and it's only going to be at the back row. So you're going to be stuck with a 12k, 9k, 10k Mask of Domination, which is going to be very easy, even though very easy to guard against, even though you have Twin Drive. So Genkai just increases the power of the card.
Generally, this ability stacks. So if you have more than 1 Genkai, you can actually give this up to 10, 15, which helps put it across a much higher number. Just a side note, Genkai applies to all tokens. So if you happen to play root tokens from the whole Hanzo shenanigans, it also synergizes with Genkai. So Genkai will see play for Nubatama for quite a long period of time, even for the next Hanzo deck. So stay tuned.
Now, for my last card, Kurogane Tengu, most people don't even know what this card does because not many people run him. His ability is Rearguard when placed, Soul Blast 1, and your opponent chooses a card from a trigger card from their hand and discards it if they want to. It's completely your opponent's choice. However, if they don't discard a trigger unit, you get to draw a card. So basically, Tengu's main purpose in the deck is to get your opponent to discard their triggers before you activate any of your other discard abilities later down the line. It also helps in breaking down your opponent's defense so that you have an easier time pushing through. But if your opponent chooses to not discard anything, you get to draw one card, which further fuels your own offense and maybe helps you survive further turns. So this card is pretty important in my opinion, even though it's an 8k base. So it's risky if you ride him, but usually you won't be stuck on him for too long, so it should be fine.
I should mention that Tengu is also only on rear guard, so if you ride him, it's really bad. So try to look for Genkai or Furai, you should generally be fine.
Okay, so moving on to the grade 1 lineup, we are playing 1 Sakura Fubuki, 4 Sadamune, 4 Sumashibasho, and 4 Katari Gitsune. So we play 1 Sakura Fubuki. Sakura Fubuki is just a great card. It allows you to countercharge very easily. It allows you to cycle. It also gains power on its own. So most people just run it for the countercharge. But as you've seen from our upper grade lineup, we will literally only have 2 cards that use counterblast, so we don't really need that much countercharge. This comes in the cases when your opponent's trying to damage deny you. So it's there for those rare occasions, but it's not really used much in the deck, other than for maybe an early game push with Furai. Then we play 4 of our Shiranui searchers. His ability on Vanguard when placed, you get to check top 7 for 2 Shiranuis and add it to your hand. This is really good in fixing your hand, increases the consistency of the deck, and really all around great card for Shiranui. Its second ability, however, is something we use a lot compared to other decks, other Shiranui decks that you find online. So its second ability is when placed, Soul Blast 1, your opponent discards 1 card and draws a card. For the shield of the card that they discarded, this unit gains power. So this is to incentivize them to discard upper grades, grade 2s and 3s specifically, so that this unit doesn't really gain power, which helps fuel targets for Shiranui. So this card really helps the Shiranui engine, is what I believe. We play 4 Katari Gitsune, our grade 3 searcher. Every clan has one. When played, you should know the skill by now, where when placed, you get to check top 5 for a grade 3 add to hand and discard 1 card if you added a grade 3 to hand. Its plus 5k ability is when you have a token, he gains plus 5k. As you see from the rest of the deck, nothing other than Shiranui Oboro creates a token. So until you get to use Shiranui Oboro skill, this thing's first ability doesn't really go online. So it's a good booster, but you don't really rely on it. So it's a card if you need to guard with, go ahead, use it. And then the final grade 1 in the deck is not something many people play, but I think this is very important, because this, compared to all of our other discard abilities, this thing is an act ability, which is very important. Its ability is once per turn, when you may Soul Blast 1 and your opponent discards 1 card. For each of the grade they discarded, this unit gains plus 10k. So if they discard a grade 3, this unit can gain 30k. If they discard a Valkyrion, maybe this thing can gain 50k, which is a lot. But in most cases, your opponent's going to discard a grade 0 or a grade 1. Which does not give this unit that much power. Its second part of the ability is after they discard, they reveal the top card of the deck and add to hand. So they reveal the top card of the deck means you know what they're adding to hand. So you have a bit more information to go off of what you need to do to play around them. So this lineup, these 2 units, their main job is to fuel your opponent's drop zone so that you have targets to copy. They are also there to have a good mind game against your opponent, so that your opponent may sometimes want to discard lower grades, but with this they will want to discard higher grade, and sometimes they want to discard a higher grade, but with this you can break down their defenses. So overall, this is you really need to know what your opponent has at the time and make the best plays out of these 2.
Generally observing stuff like your opponent's drive checks, as well as any reveals that they had to hand, or even if by using these skills, you generally have more information on the opponent, so it does help. So I guess you kind of have to sweat a bit for this deck, but as you see in the trigger lineup, you see exactly what we're going with this. For the grade 0s, we're actually doing a very aggressive approach. We run not 4, not 8, but 12 crits. as well as for heal, obviously, and the starter. The starter, we don't really need to talk about it. Madoi is just a good starter. G Shiranui fans, you know who he is. Heal, because we are not GOTX, neither are we, risking it. And now for 12 crits with 4 crit sentinels. So generally, as you've seen from the deck, it uses stuff like mind games, just early game tempo, as well as continuous fueling through stuff like Shiranui engines going in and out of the soul. So now the thing is, how do we close the game? Now you generally can play draws, but I was thinking due to the nature of stuff like Shiranui and stuff and the soul charging, you might want to try and close the game, and you can do so especially because of the fact that you don't get 2, but 3 to 4 drive checks a turn, thanks to the Mask of Domination. So if you think about it, this is almost like playing Blade Master in a sense, because we all have vision, we all have token units that drive check. We can do this a bit more offensively, especially given the fact that Shiranui is a protect deck. Protect means they get access to a free PG per ride. Shiranui can stack 2 protects a turn, and how? We use the combination of the base Shiranui as well as Oboro, and you get this 2 copies of for free, or not really for free, but it's quite easy to get. So you don't really want to get that many perfect guards in the deck, because you already get so many protects, and at the same time, if you think about it, that's if you have played more draw PGs as well as the protects, you have to discard quite a lot of cards, and we're in a meta that is increasingly becoming more multi-attack, more excel. Gurgit is the king. So generally, this is a more informed lineup as well as something of personal choice for Narmi, because we want to go a bit more aggressive. Anything you want to add?
4 drive checks are strong. Double critting your opponent on your first grade 3 also is big memes, so you want them to discard as many cards as possible to fuel their drop load. Early on, normally in normal Shiranui, against a normal Shiranui player, they don't have many things to copy because the field is usually empty and the drop zone is not really that have that many cards. So using our grade 1 lineup and our grade 2 lineup, we want to fill the drop zone so that you have something to copy, and hopefully they'll discard a grade 3, then you'll have 4 drive checks on your first grade 3 turn, which is very strong because your opponent usually doesn't have that big of a hand to begin with.
And such, you can crit them to death fast. So that is about it for the Shiranui deck profile. This is a collab video I did with Narmi, so credits to him for basically the entire deck, because I don't own this thing and I don't know this thing. I'm just speaking off my own common knowledge. So this is something you can build. Generally, the easiest way for Shiranui, because you don't need the promos per se. The only one is Tengu, but Tengu is like really easy to get your hands off. Beyond that, I think this is relatively more suited for the meta, like I mentioned, especially for the case of Noroi, who really does give the deck more of a little bend towards Excel and how to counter it. Anything like that before we close?
There's also something very funny you can do. If you know your opponent's drawing a lot, you can sometimes just mill them to death because of all the discard and draw abilities that you give them. So that's a slight odd win con, but don't really rely on it too much.
Alright, thank you Narmi for coming today. Thank you all so much for watching this video. As usual, if you like it, like and subscribe. Just obligatory news. Like I said, I'm joining Cardfight Con with Axis Vanguard, so check that out on the Winning Images YouTube channel. Still with Axis Vanguard writing stuff. Descendant article is the latest one. There will be Aqua Force stuff for those people that are into Vbt11? 11? So yeah, do check it out. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
If you want to see more of me, leave your comments down below asking for me. Thanks.
Goodbye.